the mysteries that were solved, but only grew stranger. Some mysteries end with answers, others end with silence. But the most unsettling ones end with explanations that feel wrong the moment you hear them. These are the cases where the official story exists. The files are closed, and the world is told to move on. Yet every detail whispers that the truth is still out there, buried beneath something carefully arranged. These are the mysteries that were solved, but instead of clarity, they left behind a deeper, colder kind of uncertainty, the kind that lingers long after the headlines fade, the kind that makes you question not just what happened, but why someone wanted the story to end so quickly. 1. When the official version collapses under its own weight, every such case begins the same way, a confident announcement that everything has been figured out. But the moment you look closer, the explanation starts to unravel. Sometimes it's a timeline that doesn't match the physical world. A person who supposedly walked miles after an injury that should have made movement impossible. A phone that sends messages long after it should have been dead. A witness who changes their story in ways that feel rehearsed, not remembered. In other cases, the contradictions are physical. Search teams sweep an area for days, using drones, dogs, tanks, and thermal imaging. Nothing. Then, weeks later, the missing person is found. Exactly, they're placed in a position that defies the logic of decomposition, weather, and time. The official explanation blames oversight, but the people who were there know better. They know what they saw and what they didn't. Digital traces often make things worse. Messages appear that sound almost but not quite like the missing person. The phrasing is off. The punctuation is wrong. The tone feels artificial, as if someone tried to imitate a voice they didn't fully understand. Yet these messages are accepted as proof of life, even when experts quietly point out the inconsistencies. When the official version contradicts the evidence, the explanation becomes part of the mystery itself. 2. When the explanation is more disturbing than the mystery, sometimes the truth is stranger than the disappearance. A case is declared an accident, but the victim's behavior in the days before suggests fear, real, tangible fear. They change routines. They avoid certain people. They leave cryptic notes or half-finished messages that hint at something closing in. Then the explanation arrives, neat and polished. Too neat. There are cases where the missing person returns, but something about them is wrong. They avoid eye contact. They refuse to talk about where they were. Their stories contradict themselves. Their families say they seem like a different person entirely, and yet the authorities insist everything is normal. There are cases where the solution feels scripted, as if someone needed the story to end quickly, as if the truth was inconvenient, dangerous, or simply too strange to acknowledge. These are the cases where the explanation doesn't bring comfort. It brings dread. 3. When a case is closed too quickly, speed can be a warning sign. Some mysteries are wrapped up in hours, long before the evidence has even been processed. A single statement becomes the foundation of the entire narrative. A single assumption becomes the official truth. Witnesses disappear. Files become restricted. Surveillance footage is missing, corrupted, or inexplicably unavailable for the exact window of time that matters most. Sometimes the media pushes one version of events with unusual intensity, repeating it until it becomes the only version people remember. Meanwhile, the details that don't fit are quietly ignored. When a case is closed before it has even begun, it raises a question more chilling than the mystery itself. Who needed this story to end? 4. Digital footprints that lead nowhere. Modern mysteries leave digital shadows, and those shadows often expose the cracks in the official story. Phones that move after their owners are gone. Accounts that log in at impossible times. Messages that appear to be written by someone trying too hard to sound casual. Videos where the missing person behaves like they're reading from a script, not speaking freely. Sometimes the digital trail feels like a cry for help. Other times it feels like bait, something left behind to mislead. Anyone who tries to follow, the deeper you dig, the more the digital world begins to look like a maze built to confuse, not reveal. 5. Coincidences too precise to be coincidences. Every case has coincidences, but in these stories the coincidences are too perfect, too aligned, too convenient. A camera that fails at the exact moment it was needed, a witness who moves away the day after giving a statement, a crucial piece of evidence that appears or disappears at the perfect time, a meeting that was never supposed to happen, but did just hours before the disappearance. Individually, each coincidence can be explained. Together, they form a pattern that feels intentional. 6. Why these mysteries haunt us. These stories don't frighten because they're supernatural. They frighten because they feel real. They expose the fragile boundary between what we're told and what actually happened. When the official version doesn't match the evidence, trust erodes. When the explanation feels rehearsed, doubt grows. When a case is closed too quickly, fear takes root. These mysteries linger because they suggest something hidden, something just out of reach, something that someone didn't want us to see. 7. The unfinished ending. The most disturbing part of these cases is their false sense of closure. The files say solved, but the story refuses to end. The unanswered questions multiply. The contradictions deepen. The truth feels close enough to touch, yet impossibly far away. These are the mysteries that stay with us, the ones that whisper, the ones that refuse to die, the ones that remind us that sometimes the most terrifying thing is not the unknown, but the explanation we were told to believe.